The night I found out about my husband's affair, my whole world seemed to shatter. It wasn't just some random fling, it was with one of his co-workers. The thought of him sneaking around during office hours, pretending to be the loyal husband at home, made my blood boil. I sat with the knowledge quietly for days, observing him, listening to his excuses about late meetings and team dinners, all while a plan began forming in my mind. I wasn't going to confront him right away. No, I wanted him to feel the sting of exposure, the taste of his own medicine in front of the very people who respected him. The company's annual party was around the corner, and he was looking forward to it. He kept reminding me to dress appropriately, and not embarrass him in front of his colleagues. Those words cut deep, because all the while he was the one embarrassing me with his lies. I decided that party would be my stage, the perfect place to strike. But I didn't want a simple confrontation. I wanted him to never forget the humiliation he caused me. I reached out discreetly to someone powerful in his company, her CEO boss. The irony was delicious. While she thought she was sneaking around with my husband, I made contact with the very man she was desperate to impress. The CEO was not only charming but also surprisingly sympathetic when I explained the situation. He admitted that he had suspected something was going on between them but had no proof. Together, we crafted a plan to make the truth come crashing down. The night of the party arrived. I walked into the grand hall, dressed elegantly, but not on my husband's arm. No, I entered with the CEO himself. Heads turned instantly. Murmurs spread across the room like wildfire. My husband's face froze when he saw me laughing and walking confidently beside his boss. His mistress, standing only a few feet away, paled as she realized what was happening. The balance of power shifted right there in that moment. I could feel the tension rising as we made our way across the room. My husband approached me quickly, forcing a smile that was more a grimace. "What are you doing here, with him?" he whispered harshly, his eyes darting nervously to the crowd. I simply smiled and replied, "Oh, didn't you say I embarrass you? Tonight, I thought I'd do exactly that." His face drained of color. The CEO clapped him on the shoulder in mock cheer, but his words cut sharp. "Quite an interesting coincidence, don't you think? A husband and wife, and an employee who doesn't understand professional boundaries. Fascinating company culture you've been promoting." My husband stammered, and his mistress shrank behind her friends, trying to disappear. Everyone was watching, whispers filling the room. I enjoyed every second. For once, the humiliation wasn't mine, it was theirs. My husband tried to pull me aside, hissing, "You don't understand what you're doing." I looked him straight in the eye and said, "No, I understand perfectly. I just don't care anymore." That broke him. I could see it in his eyes. Fear of losing his job, his reputation, and the comfortable life he thought he controlled. The CEO didn't stop there. He made a toast to loyalty, honesty, and respect in the workplace, while staring directly at my husband and his mistress. The room erupted in awkward laughter, though everyone understood the jab. My husband's colleagues avoided his gaze, already beginning to see him in a new, shameful light. His mistress slipped out of the hall, humiliated, her career prospects sinking with every second. I remained calm, sipping my drink, basking in the quiet power of my revenge. This wasn't a scene of rage or screaming. It was elegant, silent destruction, the kind that lingers far longer than words ever could. My husband tried several more times to talk to me, but I brushed him off, enjoying conversations with others, showing him that I was no longer the quiet, forgiving wife he could step over. By the end of the night, the CEO offered me his car home, while my husband stood by the doors, abandoned and ignored. His colleagues whispered behind his back, and I could tell this night would haunt him for years. He had built his career on respect, and in a single evening, I had stripped it away, piece by piece. At home later, he tried to plead with me, promising that the affair meant nothing, that he wanted to fix things. But his words sounded hollow, and I realized I didn't need him anymore. I had already taken back my dignity, my strength, and my pride. Staying with him would only drag me back into the shadows. Within weeks, I filed for divorce. The evidence of his affair, witnessed by half his company, left him with no ground to stand on. The CEO even offered me a position in the firm, admiring my strength and composure. My husband, meanwhile, was quietly demoted, his reputation irreparably damaged. His mistress eventually left the company altogether, unable to face the gossip. For the first time in years, I felt free. I wasn't the betrayed wife anymore. I was the woman who turned betrayal into power. I built a new life, surrounded by respect, not lies. And every time I looked back on that company party, I smiled, not because of the pain, but because I knew I had ended it on my terms. My husband thought he could cheat on me in secret, but I made sure the whole world saw who he really was. And in the end, he lost everything, while I walked away stronger, untouchable, and free.